the biggest thing is to close the loop between the machine and the person.
Amen.
AI and the high technology is not coming to replace the people. We need more people, not less. But that people, we need it prepared. So let the technology do what it does better. Get the data, get the insights, get the knowledge you need, and then make sure it connects well with the person who has to make the final decision and who has to act.
Well, hello, team. I'm Ed Bellina.
Hello, guys. Alvaro Cuba here.
I tell you what, lots going on, right? Especially FIFA. But Alvaro is the master, and he'll talk about that. Welcome to the Manufacturing Meetup Podcast. This is a show where we kick back on our downtime, and we have real chats about what actually happens on the floor and address some of the more common issues that supply chain and ops people are facing today. Alvaro?
Yeah. What's OPEX?
Well, thank you. Yes, the hat. So I am doing some shameless self-promotion today. That is my company, Operational Excellence Consulting. Thank you. 3.5 years and still alive and kicking. Sometimes I wonder, but no, it's all good. So I thought I'd word that today. I haven't self-promoted shamelessly in a while, so this was it. And you have a really fancy, looks like a golf or a globe?
No, this is my tennis one.
Oh.
We just finished Roland Garros, and I was so happy to see so many young people, in the women's, the winners, teenager, 19 years old, Andreva, which is amazing. And in the semifinals, 3 of the semifinals in men are guys between 18 and 21.
Wow.
So I'm very excited that young people is coming, and it's going to bring a lot of excitement on tennis.
Yeah, amazing talent, right? Rejuvenates the sports.
Amazing talent.
Beautiful.
Young and so much talented. So what's for today, Ed?
Wow, today we have an interesting conversation about the state of production health. So as you know, Augury has partnered with IndustryWeek for the last several years to put together a state of production health. How's it going? What are the trends that we're seeing? And since 2023, by the way. And the 2026 report just dropped. And let me tell you, it is everything that Alvaro and I had discussed at the end of the year, looking into our non-existent crystal ball. But their speed at which it's happening, our crystal ball has been shattered. Crystal ball is blown. So I won't steal the thunder. We got some interesting stuff to share with you. Alvaro?
Yeah, we are going to talk about the biggest findings. More important, what it means to you in the plants or to you in the reliability programs. We also found some interesting contradictions that we think it's the core of the study that we'll be discussing, and we'll end up, as always, with some concrete opportunities that we can tackle and you can use going ahead. But before going into that, please subscribe, click the button at the bottom of the screen so you don't miss these conversations. And with that, let's get started.
Let's do it. Hit the button.
Yes.
All right. So hopefully we prepped you enough that you are anxiously awaiting these findings that we have hyped up for you. Well, I'll tell you what, they are pretty interesting. So in 2026, the 2 biggest issues that the survey respondents pointed out were workforce constraints at 43% of the respondents and unplanned downtime at 40%. Those are the 2 top manufacturing challenges. Downtime is up 10 points from last year alone. Folks, that's not a little degradation. That is a step change. And to be honest, we suffered a lot from COVID, right? A lot of setbacks, a lot of issues, supply chain, couldn't get parts. We expected to recover from that. And, we kind of have, not back to pre-COVID levels in most places. And now to get this information, that's really surprising. But I will tell you that they're related. right? Why do you think our unplanned downtime is up 43%? Maybe it's because of issue number one, workforce constraints, right? If you don't have the right people, if you don't have the right experience base, right, or even the numbers, your machine doesn't run as well. And it's something that Alvaro and I have been poking at now for quite a while because of the loss of experience that we're seeing in the fields. And that can certainly explain that, as well as a couple of other trends. So quality, yield, and throughput issues score number 3, 37, pretty darn close. And capacity constraints, 30%. Now, folks, put the whole formula together. They all make sense, right? If your downtime is up 10%, right? Every time a line goes up and down, you increase the risk of making off-quality product, and you lose yields on startup and changeovers, right? So the more you do that, the more it impacts on these. And of course, if your lines are down 10% more, then guess what? You're going to have capacity constraints. You're either going to have to source product in, or you're going to have to out of stock your customers. So bottom line, manufacturers are struggling to get productive capacity out of their plants. And it's not getting any better. And the people running them are really, really challenged. So supply chain issues, right? And by that's a generic, term to say parts we can't get on time, raw materials, et cetera. They're at 22%. And it's the biggest change we've seen, nearly doubling from last year. So we've got work to do. Alvaro.
Well, these challenges are new. No? So the high cost, materials, energy, quality, yield, throughput issues, they are consistent since 2023 coming on. And probably the one that is accelerating is the workforce constraints and the workforce upskilling, which is jumping in the list in 2026. But if you think about, and the figures that Ed was showing, what it's happening is the pressure is moving from outside. No, we were talking in the previous years, tariffs and logistic constraints and material shortage. Now we are talking about internal things. This is a good thing because we have control over those things. And I think the people that answered the survey is in alignment, because when the survey asks, what are you expecting AI to help you? It's consistent with that, no? They are right. Saying improve quality, yield, and throughput, and reduce unplanned downtime. Also, OEE is ranked the most important metric, 45%, which is in sync with that. The only thing, and this is a cue to go to segment 2, is why, if that is happening, why the pressure is continued to mount.
Yep.
And I think is before we didn't have tools, so we didn't have results. Now we start to have tools and we start to have AI, but the results are not consistency there yet. That mounts the pressure on it. So we'll be discussing in segment 2 a little bit more AI and how we can use these tools to convert into results that really help you in your day-to-day and your operation in the plant.
Well put, Alvaro. Scratch my head just like you, right? If you later on in the report, you're going to see that we're spending a ton of money on AI, right? And to address these same issues, like Alvaro pointed out, so spending a lot of money, but we're not seeing the return. Why? I have 2 opinions. One is our environment is changing faster than we are adopting AI. And number 2, some of our solutions were so widespread and so systemic in nature, right, that they haven't yielded results yet. There's a lot of infrastructure that has to go on for all these massive learning models to work. So that brings me to segment 2. which is deleting. The AI numbers are really, really big. And how big are they,
Yeah.
Ed? They are big.
And very optimistic.
Yes, if you take nothing away from this report, okay, take away, we have issues, we understand our issues, but boy, oh boy, we have technology to help address it. So here's a couple little key highlights. One of the most at the top of the list of AI implementations is predictive maintenance. Okay, so we've moved from breakdown to preventive to now we're having to predictive, and the application of AI is really yielding very, very solid returns in that area. The use cases are at 57%. Up 22 points from last year, right? That's not an evolutionary improvement. That is a revolutionary improvement. Think
it's
Niagara
a transformation.
Falls. Yeah.
Clearly a transformation.
Clearly a transformation. And what that points to is something we've been bringing up on the podcast, which is the first place where you would want to start in an operations environment is machine health, right? Because it underpins everything about your line. But interestingly enough, the second number 2 is process quality and yields and all that. And that's fully to be expected, right? You start up with machine health, you look at the opportunities in process health, and they start coming together. What was interesting is the opportunity on the process side was called out to be even higher than machine health. And even though arguably we have a plethora of machine health, suppliers, which ones, we root for, process health still has remained a bit of an open space, right? There's lots of people going in there, but we think that's a bit of blank space right now. So a lot of scale up, right? 42% have now scaled more than half of their AI pilots. So it's starting to go from piloting to now large-scale implementations. So, and it's really cool because when you have a machine that fails, right, it, as Alvaro and I have said, you're taking out product out of the consumer's hands, you're causing yield issues, waste, and not only that, anytime your machine goes down, you have increased the chance of a human-machine interaction. Human-machine interactions have a probability of causing an injury, okay? So they all kind of work together. Alvaro?
As Ed was saying, AI is maturing, and more important, you guys in every plant, it doesn't matter industry or it doesn't matter size of the plant, are noticing that. Couple of figures. 83% are planning to spend more in AI in 2020, 83%. And that number comes from 35% from before, no? And the other thing is there is that shows commitment and also a more realistic figure. Before, very advanced in AI implementations, it was 41%. Now it has reduced to 30%, which means you are getting a grasp of the reality and becoming more down to earth with what you think you can do with that, no? The focus is shifting from experimenting into a scale. 42% have reached scale in 50% or more of their pilots. So almost half of the pilots now are being scaled in half of the respondents. And one important thing, which is, I think, the biggest qualifying of this is the focus is changing from doing things separated here and there to a more communication layer. No? What it means, AI predicts the failure. Then the algorithm recommends the fix. Then the generative AI writes the work instructions. And then it sends communication to the operators who do or implement the instructions. So as you can see, if you put together the different pieces and you go from data or insights into execution, is where the real value is, and is what the different plants are just starting to understand. No, more areas quantifiable, which is good. No, people are now being able to quantify benefits from uptime, from yield, from quality, and that's improving. So the conclusion is maturity is going up. The understanding of the end-to-end is starting to percolate into the plants and getting the results. And this is in line with, if you recall in our previous episode, we talked about a McKinsey study that is telling exactly the same, no? AI can predict and provide the right knowledge to the workers in the right moment. And that's kind of the game. No, so a couple things. One is overconfidence is going down, which is good. No, because if you are overconfident, you are not really paying attention on the opportunities, and you are only putting more and more pressure in your people. And we were talking in segment one why the implementations are not connecting into results. And it's because we need to connect the different dots all across, from insights all the way into execution. Ed?
Yeah, this is like building a house, right? I think one of the messages that you're starting to pick up from us is agentic is winning, a consistent message we've been relaying for quite a while now. So as we move into segment three, listen, we threw a lot of data, a lot of numbers at you. What's the big takeaway? Bottom line, as Alvaro has said, a lot of confidence in AI, but there are also some roadblocks. By the way, as Alvaro mentioned, some of it, we're learning things we didn't know. So we start scratching our heads and saying, oh, wow, there's some work here. So the report says manufacturers are struggling with workforce, right? Issues, downtime capacity, some supply chain still as well. Part two says they're confident in AI and they're doubling down, right? They're putting a lot of money into AI. But part three says even with that, there's still lots of roadblocks. So from a simple standpoint, the math doesn't tie, right? We're having problems. We're spending a ton of money in AI. You would think that would mean we're overcoming some of them, but I think we're finding some things that we were not aware of, right? So now, poor quality data, right? It's 47%. It's up 20 points from last year. And that did not even show up in the top questions back a couple of years ago. Cybersecurity was at the top for 3 straight years. That now has come down. Operational hurdles, 43%, right? So just think about those. We're starting to recognize that our data quality is suspect, right? So these models, garbage in, garbage out, right? They can only intake what is provided to them. And if it's not of good quality, that's a problem. And this is where this whole ontology discussion starts to come up. But that's kind of food for another day. The other piece that really struck a chord was workforce obstacles, right? And we classify those as 41% of the respondents said they need to upskill or improve the skill of their folks. And 38% of them said that they're dealing with labor shortages, right? It's all about people. And it's part of the conversation that Alvaro and I have been having about you can have the best technology in the world and invest all the right funds. But if the people side of it, meaning skill and capacity both, isn't available, then it's just a lot of fancy paperwork and a lot of fancy charts on a screen. So people. That being said, the bottom line is the study's telling you we have challenges that we talked about earlier, but these are roadblocks we're talking about now, and it's a maturation, right? And that connection is really part of the message.
Couple good things about the roadblocks that I think are interesting is leader buy-in. It's only 22%. It has way down, which means that now in 80% of the cases, you have the backing up of the leadership, which is not surprising. They are hearing all the news about AI and the get benefits. They want to cash in it. So that's no more. And also the other that went down is bringing the people with you, the support, the buy-in from the people. It went down to 30% from 50 to 30. So that's good. But I think the most important is, as Ed said, the biggest roadblocks that you find is one is data quality, and the other is upskilling of your workforce. But if you think about it, those are exactly the easiest ones to fix or to get with AI. No? And in segment 2, we talk about how positive are you about AI and how much money you are investing into AI. So if you start by putting part of that effort and money into, for instance, that data quality. So let the sensors get the data. Let the sensors send the data to AI and let AI to do the analytics. Let AI to do the analysis and the flagging of the issues. And Ed was talking about Gen AI. Let AI to do the instructions and the manuals and the next steps. No, so, and that's very easy because it's also minimum cost.
Right.
You don't even need to pay for the sensors. Now the suppliers put the sensors on them. They do all the analytics and then send the communication. They charge you as you go once a month. So there is no limit there. The second one that you talk about is upskilling. So we said agentic AI now can do the work instructions, the maintenance procedures, the troubleshooting guys. They can generate, contextualize, and build actionable things that go straight to your people in the moment that the people need it. So you don't think about you and you yourself. You had a ton of questions, for instance, for any topic. Now you go into ChatGPT and you ask the simple question. You get the answer that you want, short, straight. And it asks you, did I answer your question? I can also tell you A, I can also tell you B, I can also tell you C. So I don't need to study A, B, C. I only need to study exactly what I need in that moment, which reduces the need for doing a big upskilling processes. No? And also you can use AI to attract people.
Right.
No, all the new generation is prone to AI. They love those kind of things. And if you explain that, yeah, the work that they will be doing is interacting with the machines and getting that for their day-to-day work, they are going to love it. No? So in essence, the two biggest challenges are the two easiest to solve and cost effective and very fast. An implementation of quality data, it can take 2 or 3 weeks.
It's that fast.
Nothing more.
Yeah, and all of us are using ChatGPT or Claude or some Notion, right? If I wanted the other day, I wanted to buy something and I had to give it 3 different manufacturers and tell me the rate of return. All that it's truly amazing. If you are a plant manager listening to this, right? What were the first few moves that we think you should take? First, start with machine health. Okay, you're building a house here, right? Build a strong foundation in your equipment and your lines. So machine health, I would say, is number one. But based on what we've just learned, I would also say start looking at your data quality, folks. I would have said this before I read this report, right? But your issues with data quality are going to hold you back eventually. Don't wait for that to happen, right? Start taking action now to make sure your data is clean.
Couple from my side. The first is what we said. AI and high tech is starting to have clarity of purpose.
Right.
No strong foundation. Think about it. Investments going up. The pilots are successful. You are now able to quantify the impacts. You have the support of your leadership. Your people is also interested. So it's kind of becoming the perfect moment.
Yes, it is.
No? So that's one. And the second is, the biggest thing is to close the loop between the machine and the person.
Amen.
AI and the high technology is not coming to replace the people. We need more people, not less. But that people, we need it prepared. So let the technology do what it does better. Get the data, get the insights, get the knowledge you need, and then make sure it connects well with the person who has to make the final decision and who has to act upon it. No, so closing the loop machine operator is the key to get the benefits of this transformation. So with that, I don't know if you wanted to say something else. I was going
to say it's the well-worn term that we use. Until you close the last yard with a human being, for now, you get nothing in return for all these huge investments. So,
and that brings your people with you as well. So, friends, this is the wrap up for the episode of today. Thank you very much for joining the manufacturing meetup. If you enjoyed the episode, please follow or subscribe. Like this episode if you are watching us on YouTube, or leave us a review if you are listening on iTunes. And more important, please share this with your pals and let us help us grow the meetup. Ed?
Great. Our message doesn't change, right? We want more of you. Hopefully you want more of us. And the way you do that is email us at mmu@augury.com. We also have a link to that report we talked about. You don't have to go searching for it. It's in the show notes, production health report. And I think by the time we come to you, it might have been somewhere around the 4th of July. So in case I don't get to say it, happy 250th anniversary to the United States of America.